Welcome to Zen in a Moment, episode 34 with Zen Cryer DeBrook. We're going to get back to our series on fear, and one of the things that has helped me the most in my life is the concept that guilt is always closing. As I started working with my internal guidance system, I found that I had a lot of guilt. And at first, I didn't notice that it was closing every single time, all the time. I would be guilty about something I said, or I'd be guilty about not showing up in a way that I wanted to, or I was guilty that I canceled on a friend because I had something that I had to do and the person would be hurt or upset. And I wouldn't cancel for any old reason. Usually called into work or something would happen. I'd be guilty for not making it to my parents' house for Christmas. And there's all these little things that I would be guilty about. And as I started realizing that every single time I felt guilt, I was closed. Meaning what I was thinking was not true or not going to happen. And I found this really interesting. It's like, where does guilt come from? How could it be closing every single time? Isn't guilt useful? And what I found is that guilt is programming. It is what your parents and the people who raised you and your society around you told you would make you a good or a bad person. A good person does this, a bad person does that. And so when you break their rules, not necessarily your rules or what's right for the situation, when you break their rules, this experience of guilt happens. Now, the real experience that you're looking for that is opening is remorse. Remorse is always opening. And if you'll notice the difference between the two, because guilt nags at you. It runs around in your head over and over and over, things that you are believing that you're not doing that you should be doing. It could show up as food in your life. It could show up as exercise in your life. It could show up with time with your kids. It could show up with not putting in the extra effort at work where another person who doesn't have kids necessarily or doesn't have other things that are responsible for in their lives, right? And remorse is when something happens and you know you have to make amends. And guilt is something that you just think about over and over and over again, feeling that tight, closed, yucky feeling inside that something is bad about you. And so the thing that's important to know in relationship to this is that guilt is a useless emotion. It's actually more of a thought pattern than an emotion, but it's useless. It doesn't create anything new in your life. And so if you want to escape the experience and the programming of guilt, the best thing that you have at your fingertips is, first of all, always, always, always recognize that you're closed. When you're feeling guilty, you go, I'm closed. That means what I'm thinking is not true or not going to happen. It's not true that I'm a bad person for feeding my kids frozen pizza for the fourth day in a row because I've got all this other stuff I have to be focused on. And they have got practice and we got to get them fed, right? It's not true that you're not spending enough time with your aging parent, okay? Otherwise, you would feel remorse and you would get over there and you would spend time with them, or you would make time to meal prep on Sunday and make sure you have healthy food to throw in the freezer for you guys to thaw out and eat. There's all kinds of ways to fix these things, but with guilt, you don't. The second thing to recognize is that anything that you're really guilty about isn't your programming. So you can go back and find out, where did I get this? Mom or dad? Grandma? Who put these thoughts in my head that I'm a bad person for X? Okay, because what you'll find is that it didn't work for them. When you think back, who was that way and how was it that they taught you? You'll find that very much so you recognize that didn't work for them either. All right, it didn't work, their guilt over things in life. Now, the other key piece is when you feel remorse for something. I remember one time, I even hate to talk about it, but I was in the sandbox with my kid. I had a little plastic shovel in my hand and he threw sand in my face. Now we're talking little, under one. And he threw sand in my face. And I was so shocked that I threw my hands back and I smacked him in the face with the shovel. I did not do it on purpose. It was a knee-jerk reaction to looking down and all of a sudden not being able to see. And I was definitely hurt. And he started screaming and crying. And I immediately stopped and we had a conversation. We cleaned it all up and everything. But I didn't go on to feel guilty. I felt remorse that I needed to be more aware, that I needed to really make sure that these kinds of things didn't happen. And even still today, I feel remorse, but it's not something that has plagued me over and over and over in my life, feeling guilty that at one point when he was under the age of 1, I accidentally smacked him in the face with a shovel. Oh, that sounds so awful. I'm sure there's things in your life that you're spending wasted time and energy thinking about that you're guilty. Guilt is a character flaw. Nope, not true. Guilt is actually the programming that told you that this is a good person and this is a bad person, and neither of them are true for you. So take a look at what you're guilty about. Name your closings. I'm closed. That means what I'm thinking is not true, not going to happen. Who did I get this from? Who has guilt about this particular topic in my life from my family or whoever raised me? And then go on with your life knowing that it's not true for you. All right, everybody. I'm sending you love and blessings. Have a great day today, and I hope this helps you to be guilt-free. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my Zen in the Moments mini pods. I'm on a mission to eliminate mental fear in the human species. I truly know that the closing of our internal guidance systems is letting each and every human being on the planet know that what they're thinking is out of alignment with what is going to create love, harmony, compassion, discernment, and peace. And that if we all learn to follow our internal guidance system, discover our openings, we will be in flow and in harmony together, and we can create the world that we love. Now, this is not something we can do by ourselves. That is why I have created the Fear-Free Human Collective. The collective is a community of people who've come together to get training on how to use their internal guidance system. It is an amazing experience to be with a group of people who are looking at their closings, taking responsibility for them, and then working together to find openings. Because when those openings happen, magic and synchronicity are the norm. If you are interested in having a group of people who are going through this experience together and are changing their worlds to where miracles become the norm, and we can celebrate them together as we have an extraordinary life by influencing people with our opening and our love and our compassion, that I want to invite you to go to BeFearFreeNow.com, BeFearFreeNow.com, and become a member. We have a free level, a level that is $27, $47, and $97, depending on how deep you want to go with the training and how much coaching access you'd like to have, and to be in a group with me, to be able to be in a discussion with me on how are we going to make this happen on this beautiful, exquisite planet we live on. So please come check it out. I'd love to have you join the fun. Join us all at BeFearFreeNow.com. Thanks so much. I'm sending you love and blessings. Bye for now.